often a question which many immigrants struggle with. Whether you may be from Guyana, Trinidad, Jamaica, Fijis, or anywhere in the West Indian Islands, you may wonder, where exactly is home? Today on Let's Talk with Lakshmi, I'm honored and privileged to bring on the author of Where is Home? And we have here, right in Elegant Floral Design Studios, Miss Mohani Stockwell, the author of Where is Home? Mohani, welcome to Let's Talk with Lakshmi. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Well, it's indeed an honor and pleasure to have you on here. We have been hearing so many stories of immigrants and the struggles that our people have been succumbed to in the West Indies. So it's really exciting for me, and I'm sure many of our viewers, to have you on here to tell us a little bit about your story and your family story. So first of all, let me ask you, where are you from in Guyana?
I am from Bengal, Quarantine, Berbice. It's all the way near to Skeldon. Okay. Not many people know where it is.
And what was life like growing up in Bengal for you?
Bengal was a beautiful little village, surrounded by all family members and beautiful neighbors. It was a place full of hope and love. I was surrounded all by love, and it was a fun time. The most memorable time of my life was growing up in Bengal, with family members and people that care for you. It takes a village to bring up children, and that was a village that had all the stuff that any child would want. You know.
Amazing stories. I mean, always growing up in countries like Guyana or Trinidad, you always hear about wonderful stories, and exactly what you said. It takes a village to grow a child.
Yes.
So let's talk about your book, Where is Home? So Mohani, or Doreen, I know a lot of your family and friends call you Doreen.
Yes.
What is Where is Home about?
Well, it's a very difficult topic. They said, where is home is where the heart lies. For me, I said, Where is Home has three divisions for me. My heart has three divisions. I have traveled to many, many countries. So I found Guyana is a country where I was born, where all my foundation, all the principles of my life was laid out for me. It's a country where I think I should call home, and which I do call home. I think England is a country I went and I have all my short-term goals executed. I studied there. I did a lot of traveling because growing up in British Guyana, we did all the history of England. So when I went to England, all I want to see, Shakespeare birthplace, I want to visit the Brontes. They wrote a lot about Jane Eyre, Wuthering Heights, Emily Bronte's, Charles Dickens. I want to see the places that they live. So I love England. It's part of my life, but I think it has a lot of historical events, historical places, but it's not my home. I adopted America to be my home, but there is something missing. America is a wonderful country. You could be whoever you want to be. There are so much opportunities for every one of us. You can be the president, you can be even the priest, whatever you set your heart to become. There's no obstacles. When I was here in the 70s, there were not so much opportunities, especially for foreigners. But today, we have so much for every ethnic group. We have cultural system for them. We have schools. They have a whole lot more. And it's a shame that our children are not taking the best education. They are falling by the wayside. And this is why I wrote this book, Where is Home? For me, it's a hard decision. Until now, I let the readers tell me where is home.
Okay, so very interesting. So you're saying for you, you're speaking as a third generation now, right?
Yes.
That home for you is Guyana.
Yes,
now,
I still feel it is my home.
That's wonderful, speaking from
Yes.
a third generation. We've had people on this show before that have written books also about internship. And what was interesting is they have actually said that they feel that India is home for them. So how do you feel about India?
I am Indian of origin, but I do not have many things to associate myself with India. Because first of all, born in a British country, we never have the mother tongue to speak Hindi. We were British. So I am mostly Indo-Caribbean. I can associate myself more with the people of the Caribbean. We speak the same language. We eat the same type of food. The culture is the same. We can broken English. So I would say I am Indian origin, but I do not associate myself with the people in India. Sorry to,
Listen, where is home for you, for me, for anyone. Home, like you said, is where the heart is.
It is.
So I know in this book, Doreen, you spoke a little bit about your grandmother, who was 3 years old when she migrated to Guyana. And growing up as a child, she told you many stories. Do you know what ship your grandmother came on?
Yes, Grandma came from India in the year 1894 on the ship called Avoco. She, her father, and her brother traveled on that ship. She was 3 years old. Grandfather came with his son, who was 7. I do not know how those 2 children survived a long trip with that rough seas.
And the trip is months, right? Do
Months.
You know how many months your grandmother was
3
on?
to 4 months.
3 to 4 months.
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
To have 2 children on the ship coming to Guyana in 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Did she tell you any stories?
Yes,
Maybe her
grandmother
her?
remembers certain things, and I think these stories were because her father told her or the brother. She remembered how once she was very, very sick, and her brother clung to her when the ship was, tossing to and fro. The waves were very, very rough, and she was being felt nauseated, and her brother took a little hanky and put it in front of her face, so if she wanted to throw up. Also, she remembered when she came off the ship, how she held on to her father. She clutched onto her father's hands as if not to let go, a feeling of security, They arrived on the shore of Guyana with nothing, just the 3 of them, and no mother to guide these 2 children. So the father was the mother and the father to be everything to both of them.
I could just imagine how your great-grandfather must have felt for him longing for home. And where was home for him at the time?
Great-grandfather was from Uttar Pradesh, and he left home because he had just lost his wife. And I think he was going through a time when he felt lost. And he heard a lot about Guyana, and people were telling him he would make lots of money. So he took that opportunity, and he took his 2 children, Faith, into his hand and brought them with him to British Guyana, not knowing what he was going to find in Guyana.
What an amazing story. So guys, we're hearing all about Where is Home from Mohani Stockwell. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more about the story of indentureship.
2 months ago, after my mother's hospitalization, the doctors wanted to put her in hospice. And I'm like, they deemed her terminal. And I saw Mr. Thakur, I think the founder, on TV, and he was advertising this Indian community in Kings Harbor. It's a great Indian community where my mother feels at home, and she expresses her happiness to me whenever I come.
I know when I come I feel happy. I stay a couple days and I see everybody, and I'm so happy.
I brought my mother here like a month and a half ago, and I haven't regretted my decision. It's one of the best decisions I've made for my mother. It's a home away from home.
Elegant Floral Design. We can help you beautify your event. No occasion is too big or too small. We specialize in floral decor and party planning for every event. Please call 718-322-9786. Please use promo code Lakshmi for a discount.
Well, guys, we are here with Mohani Stockwell, also known as Doreen, and we're talking about her book, Where is Home, and about her life in Guyana, growing up in Bengal, Berbice. Now, Doreen, I want to talk about a little bit about the story of indentureship and, you know, maybe about some things that you've heard about. I mean, I know that our great-great-grandparents migrated from India and the struggles on the ships and traveling for months at sea. I mean, what are some of the stories, or what type of lifestyle did our ancestors live in Guyana in their earlier days?
It was one of hardship, sacrifices. Can you imagine, like my grandma, she was only 3, coming on that ship, no one to take care of them. And those ships are so small and they're not having many amenities. All they have is a small space, not like these beautiful cruise ships that you have now. So these people suffer at the hands of those that promised them everything. Now, the food was not what they're accustomed to. The water was bad. A lot of them died from drinking the impurity water. You have infection. I think coming over to British Guyana and any countries, even Trinidad, any countries that all have indentured laborers were very, very rough. Now, we as young generation cannot picture or cannot imagine the life that these people went through. That's why we have to try and put ourselves into their shoes and try and walk a better road. I remember my grandmother will tell us stories about their life, and I think most of this was what she was told by her brother, and it was one of hardship. And she was such a beautiful petite lady that she spoke fluent English, though her father was from India. Grandma will sit around and tell us stories about her father, who she could hardly remember when she lost him. But it was a road that her brother took her under his wings and protected her. She had no one else. So we could imagine a life with no father, no brother, just being a 9-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl being on their own.
So Doreen, you know, what's so interesting is that there are children here that may have been born in Guyana or born right here in the United States of America, and they don't know the hardships that our great-great-grandparents went through and lived. It's amazing that, you know, a lot of people may be watching movies here and, you know, that talk about slavery and talk about, you know, slaves coming on ships and the hardships that they went through and the thousands of people that died from disease, not knowing that our people were included in that.
Yes.
So, I mean, tell us about some of the diseases that
you had
people went through.
Dysentery, you know, from impurity water. You have people were dying because of the food. They were living in a close surroundings. His space was limited. The mosquitoes, the malaria, the settings for these indentured laborers when they came over were just a little hot, and they were given like 1 cup for 3 of them to drink on that 1 cup, you know. And they live in, the space was so limited. Everyone, you know, they tried to make friends with strangers. It was a life of, I think, I would say like hell, just like the slaves in America. Only these people, indentured laborers, they were given their freedom after 5 years. But they were whipped. They were, if they're sick, they had to go to work, you know.
Doreen, where did they live?
Most of them live in the plantation. They had little huts for them. Every, like in Plantation Highbury, they had a little cabin, and the women and the men lived together in the same place. There was no like separate rooms, you know, just maybe a little sheet separate perfect stranger from another one.
And many people were brought from different parts of India.
That's right.
So they didn't even speak the same language, is that
That's
correct?
right. That's right.
And what about when they first came over? I mean, how were people persuaded to leave India to come over to the West Indies?
Some were kidnapped. Others were told they were lots and lots of money. They would be given so much money if they come over. Some people were just trapped, and I think being coerced, a lot of them. Otherwise than that, you know.
Now, what was interesting, you had mentioned a point, and I do remember reading something about many of them came over on a 5-year, let's say, work visa, right?
Yes.
To work in British Guyana at the time. And now when the 5-year was up and they wanted to go back home to India, they were taxed very
Yes.
highly to go back, or it was made so difficult for them to be able to go back to India, wherever they were from. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think what happened, some of them were not given their full salary, so they did not have the money to go back. Those who were given the full salary, if they were, they tried to save that money, and either the ship the cost was too high. Most of them who cannot afford their trip died before the time comes, 5 years. Those who remain or chose to remain because not they chose that from their heart. It was because they could not afford to go back home. They stay in whatever plantation, surrounding plantation that they were bound to, and they make the best of what life have to offer them.
And I know there were stories of even those who even tried to go back to India. Their families in India didn't even accept them. They said once you cross the Kalapani, the black water,
Yes.
you're no longer pure. Did you hear stories about
Yes,
that?
my grandfather, he came in 1902. So grandfather was 18 years old. He was aware and he knew his family members, so he could have kept in contact with them. I think he lost communication because he does not write in English, just Hindi. So I'm not sure what happened to grandfather. He did not keep in touch with his family members. They maybe chose not to write to grandfather because he left them and come away. So now over 70 years, now we trying to trace our roots. My cousin was able to found out that we had some cousins from grandfather's side still living in India.
Now, did you also go to India to visit your forefathers?
I went to India, but I did not knew about these cousins yet because only this happened for the past 5-7 years. I went there in 2004, so I did not get the opportunity to meet them.
And I mean, so much with the stories of the struggles, and you know, I really just want to touch upon this because I know there's so many youth here that really don't know the struggles that our forefathers went through. I mean, women, our great-grandmothers were giving births right in the sugarcane fields. Some of them could not carry their children because of health.
Yes.
They just had to work. They have their child on their back or on their front and still cutting cane.
I think the children of today, either our parents or the young generation, they were not taught about their forefathers. I was lucky that my mother and my grandparents reinforced that they came as slaves. Well, I should say indentured laborers. And because of that, I was fortunate to know the value of their life and ours. How fortunate I am to be the second generation of Indian and Guyanese, and how much I have to offer compared to my grandma. So I don't know what is happening to the kids born in America. And I think we need to reinforce where they come from. And by teaching them and of their origin, I think certain amount of will stick into their heads. You know, I know most of the children over here think they are American born. they want to associate themselves with all that culture. But we had slavery until in the 60s here. And we had segregation, which was very, very hard here. At least in Guyana, we were free to roam anywhere. So we were a freer type of people compared to the Americans. So Americans, yes, we are a great country. Yes, we claim to be the best in the world. But we do have a lot of faults.
Right.
We took away the Indian countries.
So let's talk about you and your journey, because at a very, very young age, you left Guyana and you went to the UK to study.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. How old were you when you left Guyana?
I left at 19 on my 18th birthday, to my, day before my birthday, one day before. I wanted to study in England because my sister left in 1968 and she went to study nursing. I taught in Guyana for 1 year, but after she left, I used to read a lot of books about England, and I studied English literature and history. So I wanted to further my study, and I read a book about Florence Nightingale. I thought, oh, great, I want to be the best nurse. So I applied to nursing school, and I got through. Not knowing what life was all about in England, I thought it would be such a beautiful place, nicely decorated houses, the weather would be flawless. You read these Mills and Boon book.
But you had a lot of rain there.
But when I arrived in London, I was so disappointed.
No.
Firstly, the houses have big chimneys. See, there's a lot of smokes coming up. So, and all the houses look gray. So I was very disappointed. But as time goes by, I was able to see the historical part of things.
So at this point, were you feeling that Guyana was better?
Oh,
than England?
definitely, definitely. I wrote my headmaster and I told him, I'm so disappointed of England, People say it's one of the most beautiful countries, but I couldn't see it from a young person, my eyes. I couldn't see the beauty. Assimilating into the lifestyle was very, very tough because at home we only accustomed to eat. I mean, we from the Berbice, roti, curry. In the morning we were given like sausages, bacon, and egg. We don't eat beef. We don't eat pork. So it was tough because we will just take the piece of egg, maybe nothing else. Life was hard because we didn't have place to cook. We couldn't cook neither. The food was nothing of what we're accustomed to. First of all, I couldn't eat with knife and fork. So I would be looking and seeing what my friends was doing, and I would copy that. So, and this dressing was difficult as well. We accustomed to wear thin clothing. We have to wear like coat, jacket, different seasonal changes. You have to have different clothing to adapt to the weather.
So transitioning from Guyana to London with the weather change, with the cultural change, the eating change, the food change, the dressing change, but now you went there for your education.
Yes.
How was that for you?
Well, studying with nuns was very tough.
Nuns?
Nuns.
So you went to like a private
a Catholic hospital. It was really, we were brought up, in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, to, we were woken up by the nuns. We start our day, 7 in the morning, going to school. Then we work all day as well.
It's about giving them opportunities we never had. It's about inspiring. It's about finding the voices of tomorrow.
Welcome to Platinum Celebrations Incorporation, event planner and on-day coordinators. Formal or casual, large or intimate, held at a private residence, dazzling venue, or the beach. Platinum Celebration's unparalleled service and attention to details will take your special occasion from the ordinary to the extraordinary. As a full-service event planning company, our service goes beyond design and decor to encompass entertainment, linen and table settings, flower arrangements, party favors, invitations, photography, and so much more. From selecting the perfect site to achieving the perfect mood. We promise to guide you through the planning process from beginning to end, and we are on site throughout the entire event to ensure all of your time and money invested goes according to your liking. Contact Shivi at 347-432-8545 for a free consultation. Remember, Platinum Celebrations is here for your special day.
So it sounds like a major change from Guyana to England. What would you say was the highlight of England for you?
Traveling and visiting all the places that I read about in Guyana, all these famous places and historical places. That was the highlight of my life. I was so taken back when I saw the Bronte's places and the life that she lived. Shakespeare birthplace, and looking at the London Bridge and the House of Parliament. There's so much history. Every part tells you a story. And it's one beautiful and historical place of England.
Now, while living in England, were you yearning for home? Were you yearning for Guyana?
Oh, yes, I was. We were crying. My first year, I cried every day because we couldn't communicate with our parents. The only way was by letters. In the 70s, we have no phone. And it was a very emotional time when you couldn't hear from your parents.
I could feel the emotions here. I mean, there's so many stories of when people leave, you know, Guyana, Trinidad, and they come over here for a better life, and they leave their children behind.
Yes.
Before they could, you know, bring them here. They're settling here, but here you are, a child, leaving your parents behind. So, as a child of only 18 years old, I mean, we look at the children today at 18, they don't even know what to do with themselves. So you at 18, that must have been very hard.
It was.
You know, very
It was.
tragic. So now I know you lived in England for how many years?
I spent 10 years in England.
Okay.
Then I went to Scotland to do my midwifery. I wanted to be a midwife as well. So it was great. It was totally different from London. The culture, you may think is the same, but it's not. The food, their vacation time is different. Halloween came from Scotland, the origin. Also,
Were you born at home?
I was born in Guyana. Halloween.
Were you born in the house?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Because you said you were studying midwife. So
Yeah, I wanted to be a midwife, so I studied in London, in Scotland. Yes. And
And how many years did you live there?
I lived in Scotland for 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then where did you go?
Then from Scotland, during that time, I did some traveling to Europe. I did 8 countries in Europe. And from that, I came back to London and I became a head nurse.
Okay.
And after a head nurse, I met my husband, I got married. I wanted to come to America. I have everything now in England. As a young person, I achieved all my goals. I got my husband, I have 2 beautiful homes. I have all the education I wanted. I became a head nurse. That was my goal. I find life has become a status quo. And to help anyone in my country, my nieces and nephew, was to come to Canada or America. So I decided to apply to go to Canada. And because of the great teaching I had and the education, I got through to Canada. When I went to Canada, was a lot of changes in my life. It was not the same. I went through sickness. Although I was a nurse and a midwife, I never knew it was so tough to be a patient. So I live on the other side, being a patient. And I know what that means. I was in the hospital for 1 month as a patient. And my whole life, though I was a good nurse, I was a fantastic nurse. But I made one vow. If I ever get better, I will advocate for each and every patient. From then on, in 1983, that was my mission. Yeah. I came to America. My life continued the downside. And I talk a lot about God because that's all I had to hold on to. I came to America, my life was tough, but I did it. I did my RN, I did my bachelor's, I did my master's. And I have 2 beautiful kids, and they're both doing well with my husband. We help a lot of people, and they're all doing great coming to America.
So let's talk a little bit about a cultural clash. I know you mentioned that your husband is white.
Yes.
You're Indian. You have 2 beautiful boys.
Yes.
Who have the best of both worlds.
Yes.
England and Guyanese.
Yes.
So what was that like for your children growing up? I mean, were they eating with knife and fork? Were they eating with their hand? What was the story with them?
Well, married an English guy. My husband really has no brother nor sister. He's an only child. So he adapted a lot to my way of life. Usually you go to the other way, the husband's side, but my husband came to America to help my family. And we made that journey together. My children, one looks like their father, one is in between, like me. The 2 of them had conflict, yes. One is whitey, one is little Indian boy. So they have their separate issue to deal with friends. But they done very well. They did eat with knife and fork. They think Guyana is a backward country, sometimes the things that they heard. But when I told them, we had everything like America, except we didn't have TV, but we read a lot. We spend time learning, about different countries. Here we are given a golden spoon into our mouth. The children have technology at their hands, and they still cannot do that well, So my kids, I think I was behind them. Yes, I am a very strict, because my dad taught us one thing: education is all you can focus on. Money will come and it will go, but education will never die. And I did the same with my children, and both of them done very well.
Good. I'm sitting here and I'm just thinking, I can't wait until your boys go back home. I can't wait. I can't wait until they go to Guyana and experience as adults the true beauty of Guyana. So I just need to ask you, where is home? Why should our viewers pick up a copy of this book?
I think this book is very motivational, inspirational, and dealt with hope and perseverance. Everyone should read this book. It helps the young readers to see how we suffer as foreigners. We came to this country to help those who we left behind. And the young children of today can become anything they want to be. They can become the next future president if only they believe in themselves. Always believe in hope and yourself. I can do this. Do not follow the wrong crowd. Do not be like the Jones. Be yourself. That's all I would advise you to do.
That's beautiful. Well, guys, make sure you pick up your copy of Where is Home? Where is Home is a story of hope. It is a story that tells us about our ancestries and where we came from. And like Doreen said, it is a story of hope, and you can be whatever you want to be. We've come from very poor and struggling beginnings, but today our people are so successful.
It is.
We're doctors, we're nurses, we're lawyers, we're successful business people. So when there's hope, there is a way. So please pick up your copy of Where is Home. And Mohani, Doreen, it was a pleasure having you on the show. And I hope everyone goes out and picks up a copy of this book.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk with Lakshmi. Here we go now. Here we go now.
Let's Talk with Lakshmi is aired once a week on ITV Gold, NTN Guyana, and TBN Suriname. For all the latest and greatest episodes, please subscribe to these TV channels and to our Let's Talk with Lakshmi YouTube channel.